I was standing behind the reception desk when the light caught his hand. Platinum band-thin groova hairline scratch at 3 o'clock. My breath didn't change, but something inside me did. That ring had been buried with my father. The billionaire leaned over the counter, voice smooth, practice 8 I'm early. I nodded. Professional calming reflection in the glass stayed intact. I waited until he straightened, until the room felt small enough to bruise. Where did you get that ring? I asked. He smiled. Indulgent then, I said my father's name. The color drained from his face like a pulled plovis mouth, opened-closed. Who was your father? He whispered. I repeated the name, and the billionaire started to cry. I had been alone long before that moment. Orphaned at 22, a half-finished degree a city that never learned my name. A firm hired me because I worked quietly and stayed late. I learned buildings by how they failed, hairline cracks, hidden stress points, the way beautiful things collapse if one column is compromised. He came into my life the same way, polished, impressive, a man who filled rooms without raising his voice. The first time we met, he shook my hand and looked at me like I mattered. That's how it starts. That's always how it starts. He requested me as his point of contact, complimented my precision, asked questions that sounded like interest, that spoke about legacy, about structures that outlived their creators. I told him my father had been an engineer, paused at that just a fraction too long. Trust is built from those pauses. I believed him when he said he admired loyalty, believed him when he promised mentorship, he believed him when he said he wanted to help. The betrayal didn't announce itself, it never does. It arrives quietly, like water seeping through concrete. Emails, redirected meetings, moved without meme designs, credited elsewhere, me name, erased with surgical care. Noticed patterns, repetition. The same executives see the same delays when I asked questions. Then came the document, a restructuring plan, me position redundant. I didn't cry. I archived everything. I stayed late and watched security footage, not for paranoia, for proof. He traced decision chains the way my father taught me to trace load paths, follow the pressure, find the failure. That's when I found the shell company, and the lawsuits buried under non-disclosure agreements, and the names that repeated across decades: engineers, assistants, partners, people who trusted him, people who vanished. The ring came back into focus. Then memory sharpened me. Father, cleaning it every Sunday, the scratch from a site accident he joked about until the day he died. The official report said structural miscalculation. My father had never miscalculated. I stopped being afraid the moment I understood the scale. This wasn't revenge, it was correction. I planned the way architects plan demolitions, carefully, quietly, with permits and witnesses. I contacted former employees under the guise of research. He filed records, requests, he matched dates, signatures, and payments. He handed nothing directly to authorities. I didn't have to. I leaked patterns. Journalists don't need full truths, they need trajectories. I planted one question in the right inbox. How many deaths does it take to build an empire? By the time the meeting was scheduled, the one where I stood behind the desk, his stock had dipped. Lawsuits resurfaced. Old partners started calling lawyers instead of him. He thought this meeting would stabilize things. He thought I was furniture. Back in the present, his tears fell onto marble floors he didn't own. I didn't know he had a child. He said I tried to make it right. You stole his work, I said. You buried the evidence. You wore his ring. He looked at his hand like it had betrayed him. He saved my life. He said that ring was a promise. I leaned closer. Then you broke it. Security arrived, not for him, for the reporters flooding the lobby, for the regulators, for the board members who finally read their emails. I handed him a folder inside, copies of everything. Dates, namest, the load-bearing lies he'd built on. You don't get to erase people, I said. You don't get to wear them either. He didn't speak again. He didn't need to. The building around us was already failing. Weeks later, I walked past the firm as a consultant. Not an assistant me name restored me father's work, credited his ring, returned to me in a sealed evidence bag. I didn't feel joy. I felt alignment. Justice isn't loud, it's structural. You remove the rote, you reinforce what remains. I wear the ring, now the scratch still there. A reminder that even the strongest designs fail when greed replaces integrity. He built monuments. I corrected the math. And for the first time since my father died, I wasn't alone.